1460 WVOX.
Stay tuned now for the Racing for Heroes radio show with host Brett Morash on 1460 WVOX.
Hey, Racing for Heroes fans, it's Brett Morash. It is June 11th, 2021. We're here at 1460 on your AM dial. We're streaming worldwide on WVX.com, and we're actually on Facebook Live as well. We're just super excited today. We have three guests, and it's in the racing world, but it's a little different than we normally talk about. Today, we're talking about hydrofoil racing, which is sort of like F1 race cars, but on the water. So we actually have three guests. They're all on the line right now, but I'll give a quick intro. We have Mike Movinksi, driver of a hydrofoil boat, who reached out to me initially. He has his own construction company that hires veterans. We have Tony Black, who runs a hydrofoil driving school, and we'll be talking to him a little bit about that. And finally, we have Scott Liddycoat, unlimited hydrofoil driver and inductee into the American Powerboat Association Hall of Fame. Gentlemen, welcome to the show.
Hey, great to be here.
Yeah, and listen, we're glad to have you here too. And this morning when I was introducing this show on the local morning show, I was telling your names, and they said that you guys all have awesome race car driver names. I mean, if you were race car drivers.
Thank you. Never heard that.
Oh, especially Scott Liddycoat. Like that's like one of those ones like you expect to see like racing Dick Trickle or something like that in Talladega and Days of Thunder.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's right. So first of all, let's just start by saying, Mike, can you explain to the listeners what unlimited hydrofoils are and how that's different than say other types of boat racing classes?
First, I got to correct you so your listeners aren't confused. It's hydroplane racing.
Hydroplane.
Okay. Yeah. What I would say is different. The last 6 years, I've been in super late models and crate dirt late models. There's all different kinds of classes of boat racing, but this is an inboard class. There's also outboard classes, which would be more what I think you're trying to describe as F1. And then you have your outboard classes, and you also have your offshore classes. But all the racing I've done in my lifetime, I would say our boat racing, our hydroplane racing is the best. That's why I kind of put up the super late models for the time in, and we're going to go full into boat racing again.
Gotcha. Because, when I think we had talked about before the show, when I was a little kid, I remember meeting Bill Muncy, like right before he crashed. But he was on Miss Atlas. So like, this is like serious racing. Like, people get hurt and it's no joke.
Yes, the same boat that Bill Muncy has drove, Scott Liddycoat has drove before. I don't know if Tony Black got a chance to run in Unlimited. I haven't yet. That would be a dream, but I'm more than happy to drive what boat class I'm in. That's enough speed for me.
Scott or Tony, anything to add?
Go ahead, Tony.
Scott's been fortunate enough to drive the Unlimiteds, and obviously that is like the Indy cars of motor racing for boats. I've driven in every class in limited inboard racing, clear up to the Grand Prix class, which are blown alcohol big blocks. The difference is with the Unlimiteds, they're a turbine power now, and they're a lot more momentum class building up to top speed, which, down the straightaway, 240 mile an hour on the right course. Scott could take it from there. He's had the experience in the unlimited classes.
Yeah, the Unlimiteds are cool because they're probably the fastest boats out there. But the limited inboard hydroplanes, like we're all doing now, it's just an awesome deal because it's an oval racetrack. We do 5 mile heat, so depending on the size of the track, it's either 3 or 4 laps or 5 laps. It's just like dirt track racing, except the only thing that changes is the water changes every single lap.
Yeah.
So you never really know what you're getting into when you throw it into the next turn, but that's what makes it exciting, and it's a great family sport, and it's something that everybody should get to witness at least once.
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, so I live up here in New York. There's a company, Stainless Specialties of America, that's run by the Slack family, and I know that they race with you guys. So it is a family business.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So and they weren't able to make the show today, but they're super excited about you guys being on, and I think they're out there listening right now. So Mike, let's talk about why we first started talking. What do we have coming up?
What happened is how I got introduced to your nonprofit was the dirt track race. You guys had a car out at the Show Me 100.
Yep.
And I'd like to say congratulations, McCready finished second last night. So I'm going to guess that was approximately $75,000 in their pocketbook, and they raced for another $25,000 this weekend. So I wish them the best of luck. And what I saw was, I got introduced. I looked you guys up, looked at the video, thought it was great seeing what you guys are doing. And I was like, you know what? Let's put them in a real racing school where you have class study. You have to take a dunk test. You get out there by yourself. There's no one helping you in the cockpit. And I would like to raise the money to get veterans from Racing for Heroes to come to our APBA driving school. And I think Tony Black can fill you in more with that.
Yeah, Tony, tell us about the school.
Well, several years ago, 15 years ago, Mark and Laurie Weber started the driving school, and effectively it's no different than Richard Petty driving school or Rusty Wallace experience. Instead of NASCAR, we're putting people in 5-liter hydroplanes, and we know that we'll always have bucket listers, but
sure,
the thing that we pride ourselves on is percentage-wise, about 20% of the people that go through the school then go on to becoming owners, drivers, and be a part of the sport in some fashion. We just had our driving school last weekend. We had 12 students go through it, and already 3 of the students will be driving in APBA racing this year. So we know the numbers are bringing new people into the sport.
Oh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And so how long is the coursework? What does that look like? And, do I have to have my own boat to show up?
No, we have 3 boats in the United States. We have one on the West Coast out in the Seattle area, and we have 2 here in the Midwest. And we have the capability with the 2 boats and with everything that we can do, we could run probably 30 students a weekend easily. And again, what that consists of is on a Friday night, we do our capsule training, and it's the same thing that us as drivers have to renew every 2 years. We have to recertify. So basically what they do is they strap you in a mock-up safety cell with air. You have divers that will do a small class before you get into the cells and teach you how to clear a regulator. And there are 3 different methods that they teach. And then once they're comfortable that you know how to clear a regulator, then they'll strap you in a safety cell, take you out in the middle of the pool and turn you upside down. And they want to feel comfortable, knowing that you can breathe with the air system. And then they watch you extract yourself out of the cell. And once you've completed that, you've passed the self-testing, which is good for 2 years. If you do get in the sport, you've already gotten your self-testing taken care of.
Yeah, so the clock started. That's great.
Saturday morning, we'll do about a 2-hour classroom, and that's a PowerPoint presentation. We explain how a hydroplane works, the do's and don'ts that you can do in a boat at speed, and basically go through all the different classes that are available and all the safety features that are incorporated. And once that's done, we'll take the students out to a body of water and put them in the boat. And here again, we provide all the safety equipment. It's all certified standard safety equipment, and it's the latest and greatest stuff that's used on the market today. And then they get 10 laps in a boat that's capable of 115 to 120 mile an hour.
That's amazing.
On where their comfort zone is to push.
That's amazingly fast. I mean, because to me, and as you guys know, I was in the Navy. I served on an AOE, and that was the fastest ship I served on. And that was 34 knots with all 4 boilers going and a nice smooth sea. So I can only imagine that the speeds that these boats are operating at, they're going through some tremendous forces.
Well, being the Midwest instructor, that the other thing that we have two-way radio communication with the driver, and the whole time that we're out there, we're trying to to get them to get through around the race course a little better. We start them out slow, want them to get them familiar with the course, and then as each lap progresses, we try to get them a little faster, a little faster. Here again, safety is the paramount. We don't want to push them any harder than what their comfort zone allows them to do, but the smiles when they come back to the dock is all the payment that I've ever asked for out of boat racing.
There you go. And let me ask you a quick question. How fast are the hydroplanes when they first go up on the step? I'm assuming that their displacement for a little while until they're up.
It's a very short distance. If somebody really gets on the accelerator pedal hard, it doesn't take all that long to get up to 80 to 100 mile an hour. They respond pretty quick once you get them up and flying, because basically a hydroplane is an airplane wing over water.
Yep.
And once you get it up on plane, there's enough lift in the hull itself. That's where they create all the speed, is because you're literally riding on a cushion of air.
And what's in the water that actually allows it to change course? I mean, you're not doing it with engine changes, right? Because it's only one big propeller. So how are you doing that?
Well, we have a skid fin that actually holds the boat down in the corners and allows it to track stably around the corner. And then you have a rudder for steering, and then the propellers are all surface-driven propellers.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, it's one ear of the propellers in the water at a time. And that's why when you see a hydroplane run, you see the big rooster tail, the big wall of water come out from behind it. It's the propellers actually 2 ears of the propeller out of the water, flinging the water in the air.
Oh, wow. That's amazing. Yeah. Now, does it have a lot of prop walk, or is it just going so fast at that point it's a non-issue?
There's a certain amount of torque on the thing, but we try to set the boats up to where they're as neutral as can be, where you don't feel a lot of torque.
Gotcha. So, Scott, I think we'll quickly switch to you. Because I know that Mike had mentioned that you're actually the person that helped him get into racing in the first place.
Well, yeah. So I've known, not the first time. I knew Mike when he raced.
Oh, second time.
Ago.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
And then I started bugging him again, and we went down to Charlotte and we did a 8-hour go-kart marathon with him, and we had some fun. And I kept bugging him about getting back into boat racing. So he finally caved in, and now he's going to be. Hopefully, he'll be an owner again here real soon. So, yeah. So it's. To me, it's all about hanging out with my friends, and it's just, like I said, a family deal. My boy's 13, and he'll be racing his first race in a couple weeks.
Oh boy! In this class, or
no? Well, so there's multiple classes in inboard hydroplane racing.
Okay.
And the youngest you can be to run a class called 1 liter is 13 years old. And then as the boats get faster, the ages go up. I think 21 is the oldest for Grand Prix, and then I'm pretty sure once you hit 18, you can drive everything else.
Gotcha.
So,
well, because we have a bunch of interns in our studio right now, and I know that they're listening to this going like, I could be a hydroplane driver. And so,
without a doubt.
They said without a doubt. So you guys are in. So like a lot of happy faces behind the glass. But how does that look though? So because it's the equivalent for go-karts, right? Is that like the 1 liter boats, and then it goes up from there?
Well, the 1 liters they're about a 15 to 16 foot long hydroplane. They're just basically a scaled down version of everything that we're driving. They got a 4-cylinder Toyota engine in them, and they kip probably close to 85, 95 miles an hour. So it's just a little smaller version and a little less expensive, and it's something that it's a great opportunity for younger people to get into the sport and on a budget. So
yeah. So what would it be like for me? So like, I'm a nearing 50-year-old retired Navy guy. Where would I be coming into the sport?
Well, it's all up to you. The size of a person has a little bit to play into it, but basically it's your budget and your desire to go fast, and how quickly you pick it up. So, there's something for everybody in inboard hydroplane racing.
Oh yeah, for sure. And Mike, I see that you were doing late model driving, and then now you're getting back into the plane. So what does that look like for you, though? Is like, I'm assuming there's some skill sets that are comparable, but since you've kind of been on both sides of that wheel, what does that look like?
I would say it is, but here's a real fast story. I moved to Mooresville, North Carolina. My neighbors talked me into buying some super late models, so I went out, bought some rocket chassis, worked there on power, went to Gaffney Speedway, tested. First 5 laps, I put 2 cars into the wall and destroyed the whole right-hand side.
Oh, man.
So there is difference in most of them, but I would say the number one comparison is how a dirt late model goes around the turn compared to a hydroplane. It's not a direct turn. You have to really know how to slide on both in the setup. The one big difference is, Scott and Tony, I think, said, is our water changes constantly, so every lap's different. Late models can with rutting and stuff, but you really have to, in both avenues, you really have to have your game, your mindset, and really concentrate. But I would say the main comparison would be how a late model goes into the turn with a hydroplane.
Gotcha, where you're almost sliding, if you will.
Yeah.
And Tony, a little kind of shift you here. So I was reading your biography, and I see you had 5 national championships and a world championship. Where is the world championships occurring?
Well, it depends on the race bid. Race sites around the United States and Canada bid on title races. And the year that we won the world championship was 2008. I believe up in Valleyfield, Canada.
Okay.
And Valleyfield is like going to Indianapolis. It is the race anywhere in North America to go to. And we were just fortunate enough to win it up in Valleyfield.
That's amazing.
Over the years in 3 different classes, or 2 different classes, 2 titles were with John Schubert's Racing in a 2.5 liter modified back in the mid-90s. And then in 2008, we won a national championship and the world championship in 2008, driving a national modified. And then in 2 more for Tom Newman Racing, who I currently drive for, in 2015 and 2018 were 2 more national championships. So a lot of series titles, a lot of region titles over the years. Like I said, this is 40 plus years in boat racing. And the funny thing of it is I raced with Scott's dad, and I've driven against Scott and also Scott's brother in racing. So it's family, very, very much a family sport.
Well, and I think for all of you, you've all mentioned that it's really about that kind of community that you have there, and it's being with that sort of everyone together making it happen. And I think that that's something to be said for a lot of these type of racing sports where you're getting that sense of community.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. Well, listen, Scott, you tell me. Like, I'll start with you. Like, tell me about like any particularly interesting story about like kind of that community coming together that I think you don't see in other types of sporting.
Well, I do have one really cool story. Is one I was driving the unlimited hydroplanes, and the series is actually sponsored by the Air National Guard.
Okay.
And we had speaking of world championships, we had our world championship over in Doha, Qatar.
Oh, wow.
In the Middle East. And what they did, which I thought was really cool, is they had a lottery on the base, the U.S. base over there, and they picked an individual for every job that we had at the race. So every team got a soldier. The officials got volunteers, and so I think it ended up bringing like 40 people off the base every day, and they got to come out and hang out with us.
Oh, wow.
And the fellow we had with us, he worked with the bomb sniffing dogs, and he had great stories, and we were fortunate enough to win that year, so we got to take a bunch of pictures with him and the trophy. And
that's amazing.
It was cool. It was cool that they involved all the service people.
Did he get like a Super Bowl kind of ring for that too, and got to be like this crazy story on his end?
We actually do get like a Super Bowl ring. They're not quite as big, but they're still pretty cool.
Well, you don't want something that's going to make you sink if you fall in the water, obviously. So,
yeah, that's right.
You guys be a little more humble than that. No, but that's amazing. And Scott, I was reading your bio too. I mean, like you're no slouch. I mean, you're in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a pretty good career. I've been pretty fortunate to get to do a lot of cool stuff, and the racing's always been the hydroplane racing's always been one of my favorites. And it's kind of weird because now I got a 13-year-old, and he's going to be taking over here soon, hopefully. So yeah. Then I can be just a crew chief.
Gotcha.
But one cool event we do have, though, is because I'm down in Hampton, Virginia, and we have a big race in Hampton. And, Mike, I don't know what your thoughts are, but I think with all the military down here, that'd be a great place to try and do a driver's school for some of these.
Yeah, that'd be great. That's why we're on the radio. I'd love to have a bunch of veterans come to the school and we'll start raising the money and see what they if they have fun or not. I'm sure they will.
I'm sure they're going to have a lot of fun. And I think we're talking about late September, right? Is that what I think we discussed?
Yep, and it's the event's right on Fort Monroe.
Oh, so it's like right there. So, So I'll tell you what, as we get a little closer, we'll start really drumming that up because we also have a friend who's been on the show before out of Hampton Road, Stan Short, who's a former U.S. Army Special Forces and owns the Phantom Works, which had a show. And it'd be amazing. We have like this whole Phantom Works hydroplane show and just bring veterans and let them, have a shot at driving these amazing boats.
Oh, yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
All right. Well, I'm going to hold you guys to that as we get closer. And this
sounds good.
Yeah, it'll be amazing. Hey, Scott, I had one other quick question for you. So I did read your bio, and somewhere in that it said monster trucks, and I just was, tell monster trucks.
Yeah, I had an opportunity to go try out at Gravedigger's Dungeon and drive one, and I did that, and then I ended up getting hired, and I worked about 4 or 5 years with those guys, and I got to travel all around the world and wreck a lot of trucks.
Were you with Gravedigger, or is that who you were with, or?
Well, I worked for the same company, so my truck was actually called Dragon.
Dragon.
But I competed against Gravedigger every weekend, so it was pretty cool.
That's amazing. I did bring my family to a Monster Jam, and our favorite one actually is nautical. It's a Crush Station, and it looks like a gigantic lobster instead. Yep. So, which is like the most amazing trick name.
I think the only thing that Scott really hasn't been hired to drive is a taxi cab.
Maybe he's
had a great career.
Uber driver.
That'd be amazing. No, yeah, you could be on like that show, that taxi show where they ask all the questions. I forget the name of it, but I'm sure the interns all know what it is. They're like going to yell at Cash Cab. Cash Cab, thank you. Right from the interns. That's why you guys are so smart, right out of college. No, that's
why
great.
You got the other interns.
Oh, yeah. No, listen, I think this is amazing. And just real quick, I also know that, Tony, you are the regional director. Is that for Area 6, sound right?
I'm the Region 6 inboard chairperson this year. Was voted in, and also on the IRC, which is part of our governing body for American Powerboat. And I've been an IRC member for 4 years now. So it's behind the scenes who makes decisions as to what we do to try and move the sport forward.
Gotcha. And along those lines, as we kind of get into the last few minutes of the show, maybe we can kind of go round robin. Start with Tony. If people want to check out like your school, like where should they go?
The website for American Powerboat is apba.org. And if you want to check out the driving school information, just go to apbashop.com. It's real easy to get to.
Yeah, no, it sounds it. And that's where people can look about how to do the school and all that sort of thing too, right?
That is correct.
Great. Mike, switching to you. Anywhere people should be following you and your upcoming racing?
I would say in August we're going to launch a new website, and the people from Dirt Late Model, if they're used to the YouTube channel Hunt the Front, we are going to start a YouTube channel.
Okay.
And we found we found a new species of fish. It's called hydrofish, and that's all I'm going to say. Trust me, when we show up at our first race,
I saw that.
a mile away.
It looks like a piranha, like a scary piranha.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. No, listen, I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to have to get like one of those like tech shirts. So, because I don't know if you guys, I race sailboats, but the fastest we ever hit is about 7 knots. So, because it's all displacement hull, so we're not going anywhere fast. And in our last person, go ahead, tell us what's coming up, where to look.
Well, so I usually keep my social media up to date pretty good. So if anybody wants to check out Scott Liddycoat Racing on Facebook or Scott Liddycoat Racing on Instagram, I try and keep everything up to date and let everybody know where we're going, where we're headed, and how we've been doing.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And gentlemen, we are in the last minute of our show right now, so I do want to thank all three of you for being on the show. This has been amazing, and we are looking forward to September and having that partnership between Racing for Heroes and you all.
That's awesome. We look forward to it.
All right. Well, thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys. And I'll call you soon just to check out. But thanks again, gentlemen. Listen, Racing for Heroes fans, it is 11:29, and we are hitting the end of the show. So with that, we're going to leave it with the real Doug Lane and a little further down the road. Thanks, and see you next week.
Traveling when no one dared go. I got a dream to chase, and it just won't wait. It's just